So here we are, we're going to be talking about Rebel Moon, which just dropped on Netflix, and I am a big Zack Snyder fan. I do enjoy most of his movies, but I do have some criticisms that I'm going to level on his film here today. So let's start off with the positive, the things that I liked, the things that I thought were very well done. I really liked the performances. I enjoyed Sophia Boutella. I enjoyed Charlie Hunnam, even though I've never really enjoyed any of his work thus far. I thought the story was cool because it was relatively simple when you think about it. You have this band of disgraced individuals that are coming together to defend a small village from a huge coming force. So I imagine like that's simple enough and easy enough to follow, and I like it. Some people would try to say like, yo, this movie is very unoriginal, but I'm not gonna knock it for that. And the reason why I won't knock it for that is because for months these boys have been talking about how this is Zack Snyder's attempt at making a Star Wars movie. He was never invited into the fold to make one of those, so this is his vision of what one of those could possibly be. Since they were so open and public about that, my thought is, why would I criticize this for being unoriginal when they told me from the beginning what this was going to be? So I'm not going to knock it for that. I think that it's good, given what we know it was going to be. Like, they told you what it was. What more do you want? So what will I knock the movie for? Well, I'll knock it for its visuals. Listen, I really like Zack Snyder's visual style. You know, the emphasis on the action, the way everything is always so crisp, the way he uses slow motion so frequently and to like emphasize important moments, and like, it's real cool what he does when he shoots action. But I felt like the visuals that we got in this movie, just looking at the movie on the biggest screen that I could, something felt lacking in the way this film looked. I can't necessarily put my finger on what it is, I just know that something felt off. Another thing that I feel like I want to knock the movie on is, again, we're going back to the thought of, he told you this is his attempt at Star Wars. Like, that was the talking point a few months back. And so when I look at this movie, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing that his take on Star Wars is a little more Shakespearean than what we get with Star Wars, and more than what I really wanted to see in this one. And it comes off kind of weird in spots, and I also like it in some spots too. I just feel like when you put his visual style with the slow motion and the emphasis on the action and all that, and you blend it with some dialogue that's not the best, and then you also put like a Shakespearean accent and tone on top of all that, and you blend it together, and it can come across as being campy, and that is how some of the moments felt. Real quick spoiler right here, I'm not talking about character names and details, but if you've seen the film or if you haven't seen the film, there's a moment where a guy charges a battleship with a spear in his hand. When you look at his previous dialogue in the scenes that were right before this, and then you look at Zack Snyder's visual style with the huge score that's swelling at the moment and the use of slow motion, and all that stuff comes together, and it makes the moment feel campy, and it makes the moment feel comical to me a little bit, even when I knew that wasn't the intent of Zack Snyder in that moment. It's like this overt attempt to be epic at all times, and I get it. I kind of felt it, but then I also kind of knew what you were doing, and it just felt funny instead of like really resonating like I think Zack and the rest of the crew wanted it to. But getting off of the spoilers and talking about something else I just really dislike about this movie, and again, if I'm doing my rating scale, you know, is listed, I say this movie is good. It's not a bad film. It's not the best film, but it's good. I'm positive on it. But one of the things I really dislike about this film is not the film itself, it's the production of the film, the promotion of the film. I don't like Zack's way of doing things. So the story does feel kind of incomplete because we all knew that there was going to be a part 1 and a part 2. This is part 1, so we know we're going to get more with these people in this universe and a conclusion to their original mission at, you know, a few months down the road. I'm fine with that. My problem is the fact that Zack Snyder does this seemingly all the time now. Zack is charged with completing a film. Like, they give him the reins to make the movie, and they tell him, hey, give us your vision, and he gives us a version that is incomplete, This is the second time that this has happened with him, and it seems like almost a marketing point with him. Like, this version of the movie that you're seeing is PG-13 because that's what Netflix wanted. But I did an R-rated version that is longer and better and just makes things make more sense. And it's like the day before the movie is coming out and you're doing press and you're saying that, and that's making headlines. And now as I watch the movie, I'm looking for, and I can see places where this movie feels slightly disjointed. Places where I can tell if this was an R-rated moment, it would be much bigger, more bloody, more violent, and more gory. And why do that? Just give us the best version of the movie the first time around. Like back in the days, when blockbuster days, and when I really fell in love with movies and watching and reviewing and stuff like that and talking about them, director's cuts were like a novelty. They were a thing that came out and people rarely talked about them, and really only big fans of the movie would watch the director's cut and have conversations and discussions about that. Here with Zach, it's almost like a marketing ploy. Like, hey, you're gonna watch this version and it's gonna be okay. And then you're gonna watch the director's cut or the R-rated cut, and it's gonna expand upon everything you just saw. And it's like, yo, find a way to make that in the first movie. Stop doing this. And listen, I get it. Netflix wanted to make something that had mass appeal. So you want to make it PG-13 so you can get as many eyeballs on it as possible. And as I watched the movie, I could identify, like, hey, if there was more blood here, like I know Zack Snyder probably wanted, this one probably would be rated R. Just based on one or two scenes alone, I could see it going for the R rating. But my thought is also like, hey, they told you what they wanted. Give them what they wanted and give them the best version the first time. All this redoing and like, we're going to release an R-rated cut in a few months. Like, why? Why do that? But those are pretty much my thoughts for the movie, man. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I'll probably watch it again or throw it on at some point. It's right in my wheelhouse, action, sci-fi. I like the director. I like his visual styles. It's very entertaining, but the whole idea of like being a R-rated cut and all that stuff, I'm done with it. And his take on Star Wars, again, violent, yes, action-packed, yes, but a little too Shakespearean, and those attempts to be epic and make epic moments kind of fall flat just a little bit in this one. So those are my critiques. Let me know your thoughts on Rebel Moon in the comment section if you choose to do so. Thank you for watching thus far, and that's all we have for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.